Hi everyone, this is Tarlok Singh and you're listening to Tarakama Astro Coaching. This video is going to be about solar eclipses. I'm going to be talking a little bit about lunar eclipses as well. And so what are solar eclipses actually about? Well, perhaps we'd like to think about the fact that a solar eclipse is basically a harbinger of a new beginning. So key words are new beginnings, and many astrologers throughout history have thought of eclipses as being a time of overthrowing the rulers of the time. And this is particularly important because as we're going into this eclipse on the 13th of November, Barack Obama actually happens to be going into his presidential election. And I'd like to recommend another video that's been posted by North Watapa, who goes into a lot of detail about the planet and mundane astrology, what's happening in the world today. And Carl has posted an extremely good video detailing what's going to be happening for us during this eclipse and looking at the implications that there might be for Barack Obama as he goes into his presidential campaign, not his campaign rather, but the election at this very powerful astrological, astronomical time. And I can thoroughly recommend that video, and I'm going to post you the link to that just now, and you'll be able to see that. So I guess it's quite important to think about this really, because what is actually a solar eclipse? Well, if you think about the sun being something like the emperor of the astrological chart, or the king of the astrological chart, and the moon is now moving in between the earth and the sun as the emperor, and the moon is eclipsing the sun and cutting off its light. So it would make sort of sense in mundane astrology to understand that this would be the time of a new beginning, or overthrowing a new power, or something new happening. That's not to say that Barack Obama is going to be overthrown or anything of that nature. It's just to look at eclipses as being a new beginning and beginning to understand them in that manner, and seeing that they have cyclic potential, in that something is being blocked off and something new is going to occur after the blocking, that things don't stay the same and that one's going into a new cycle. So that's a good way of seeing the beginning periods of what comes after an eclipse. So there are people on the internet. I found one lady, I think it's Molly's Astrology. I thought that she had an extremely good blog where she talks about the impacts of the lunar and solar eclipses and how one can work with those. So look that up. That's very interesting. So in a moment we're just going to look at astrological charts and how one can understand the placements of a full moon, a new moon, a solar eclipse, and a lunar eclipse. So what I thought would be interesting is if we actually have a look at what the eclipse looks like in a chart. And so I've pulled up the next solar eclipse that we're going to have, which is going to be in November on the 13th. At 10 o'clock, actually 11 minutes past 10. And as you can see, if you look down here close to the IC, you'll see that both the sun and the moon are going to be at 22 degrees of Scorpio. They'll be exact then. So this gives you an idea of what a solar eclipse actually looks like. And so now I just want to contrast the last eclipse that we just saw, the solar eclipse of November 2012, with this lunar eclipse that you can see for 2012. And this one is going to be on the 28th of November. at 3 o'clock, 11 minutes past 3 in the afternoon, London. And as you can see, we've got the moon here at 7 degrees Gemini, and it is featured on the chart opposite now the sun at 7 degrees of Sagittarius. And the reason I'm just showing you this is just to demonstrate to you the difference of how a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse actually appear on an astrological chart, just to help facilitate learning really, and helping the beginner to understand what these things look like when they're inspecting a chart. So now this is the last clip that I just want to show you of the astrological charts, and as you can see, this one is for the 29th of October 2012, and it shows the moon and the sun in opposition to one another. So there's the sun down there at 7 degrees of Scorpio and the moon at 8 degrees, and this is a full moon. And the purpose of this really, these 3 slides, is just to show you that actually a solar eclipse looks like a new moon on a chart, and a lunar eclipse actually looks like a full moon on the chart. So they're a little confusing, and one would have to consult an ephemeris to make sure that one's understanding what these eclipses actually look like and how one would differentiate them from the full moons and the new moons, respectively. So I thought I'd just bring that up because I thought it was quite interesting for somebody who's learning, that this might be something new to be aware of when thinking and discussing eclipses. So I just want to quickly mention the work that Brunner from YouTube has been doing on solar eclipses and solar eclipse families, which are grouped into Saros numbers or Saros eclipse families. And Brunner talks about the work that Bernadette Brady's been doing on identifying historical patterns with these solar eclipses. I'm just going to show you Bernadette Brady's website here. So this is bernadettebrady.com, and Bernadette has done a really fantastic document, which is a PDF file which you can get on the internet, called Saros Cycles 1 PDF. I found it by searching on the internet, and what you'll find is that there are historical patterns which occur with these solar eclipses. And as you can see here, I've just got a quick screenshot of a solar eclipse pattern which coincides with the British family, the British royal family, and colonialism, you might want to say, and there's a very tight correlation here, and it's quite interesting, quite exciting. So the reason that I'm mentioning this is that I had quite a good look at the Wikipedia website, noticing that they've got a whole range of information here about these Saros cycles, and there's dates going back from the beginning of these particular solar cycles going forward into the future. And what one can do is map one's personal life events against these solar eclipse dates and see whether there's any actual correlations between your life events and the solar eclipses. So that's particularly interesting, and I think quite beneficial. What I did after looking at some of this data was to map back and see whether I've got any sort of coincidental things of interest that might be themes that I could map out against them, and I found that there were relationship issues that seemed to be cyclic with solar eclipses. So that's it, everybody. I hope you've really enjoyed this video clip on eclipses. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Felida Bruna for your Saros series YouTube clips. They were brilliant, very inspiring, and if you hadn't have put that forward, then I wouldn't have done the research involved for this clip. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and please leave your comments. That's all for now from Terracum Astro Coaching. Thank you very much. Bye bye.